All right, part two of our interview with Noel and Jessica. We're going to talk a little more to Noel about his journey. And so, right now, we're talking about his actual business, what he's been doing with it, because if you didn't hear, he now has built the product. He got over the prototype stage, got validation by crushing it at these shows, and, sky's the limit kind of mindset that he has now. So let's talk about that. So after these shows, and you're like, you just said that earlier before, like, hey, like I'm in it now, like I got to make this a business. Walk us through that. And this is all before Shark Tank, so walk us through this stuff.
So obviously, after going through those 4 shows and selling the amount of combs that we did, you have to make a decision. Like, we're going to make this a business, right? So you go, you do your financial analysis. You go, this is how much I have in my savings. This is what I need to do, and we just start to push it. And I feel like just keep it as simple as possible. Like, I found a way how to sell the comb. Ideally, when you think of a comb for African American people, you think that the people that are going to buy it are African Americans that want to wear their hair a certain way.
Yes.
But the majority of the people on my sales were barbers, hairstylists, and beauty supply stores. So I had to change my entire marketing.
So wait, I want to jump in for a sec. So is it safe to say that their clients?
Correct.
So the person who might buy it might not be African American or not even have the certain hairstyle that your product is helping.
But they service.
That's interesting.
Right? And I did, and because of the rule that's in place across the nation for reusing a sponge because it's porous, right? Like, if you think about your dish sponge, right? How often do you replace that? Every 2 weeks. Or if you think about, you wash towels and you leave it in the washing machine, that smell. A sponge job is to soak up water, and that's how chemicals happen. So it was a necessity for them, and they had to buy it. They wanted to get it at a wholesale price so they can retail it to the end user. And I was like, all right, cool, because I can't get to the end user. This is before Facebook and Google. This is like before I even taught myself this. This was my way of getting to the end user. I was going straight to barbershops, hairstylists, and beauty supply stores, and I had to change my entire marketing to fit that demographic.
So what would your pitch be to a barbershop or a stylist versus a customer? I get the customer part.
Pros and cons, because there's only 2 ways that you can get your hair this way. You can use a sponge, or you can use my tool.
Okay.
Right? So they want to know what the difference is.
So you save money because they don't have to keep buying a sponge over and over.
So there's 5 things that makes it primarily different. Okay. Right? So, and I'll focus on those 5 things.
Good.
The first thing and foremost, if you are a barber, you're not going to get fined for reusing my comb.
I love it.
Right? The second thing is I'm saving you money because you can now use something that you can clean and use over and over and over again. Right? The third is that you can clean it. It doesn't absorb our hair because our hair needs moisture to stay healthy. So my comb won't absorb and extract all the product that we put in our hair that keeps it healthy. And it doesn't pull our hair. And those are pretty much the 5 things that I focus on. And once they see it and they see that it actually works, then they want to buy it at a wholesale so they can actually retail it.
And what were you wholesaling or pricing, if you're allowed to share?
Oh yeah, so it wholesales anywhere between $10 to like $12. And if you do a large volume, you can get it down to like $8, and it retails for $25.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And I just did that like over and over, because the thing with sales is that once you find one thing that works, let's not overcomplicate the system. Let's just duplicate it.
Okay.
Right? So what was working for me at this very early stage I'm an infant. What was working for me was barbershops, trade shows. So we did 30 trade shows the first year, and we sold to barbershops and beauty supply stores.
Why does it work at trade shows? I'm curious.
Because they see it. And when you go to a hair show and they see what you're doing.
Nice.
And like I said, as my culture, we don't have this. Like, you can wake up in the morning and your hair can be done in maybe 30 minutes, 20 minutes. You can put water in it. In an African American culture, there is a process. Unless your hair is short, you have a regimen that you have to go through, or you have to put a relaxer in your hair, or you have to sleep a certain way. Right? Dreadlocks, braids, cornrows is quote-unquote a statement hairstyle. But for us, it's a necessity because it allows us to wake up and go. But you can't really wear your hair that way. So what other hairstyle do I have? Just go short? Well, I got a big forehead, so I don't want to go short, right? You got to know your lane. So I like my hair long.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
This is where I'm at. And for the first time in my life, I can wake up and my hair is done in 3 minutes, and I've never had that.
So 3 minutes versus how long before your product?
Man, I will go to bed. If I'm going to bed at 9:30, I will put a bunch of Shea Moisture in my hair, wrap my hair in a scarf, and when I go to sleep, I will sleep like this. Because I'll sleep on my side, or sleep on this way, or sleep on my back. I'll wake up in the morning, and my hair would just be flattened one way.
So where'd you go from there? So you figured out this angle with the barbershops and the shows, and you figured out how to sell to them, which I love those 5 points. What happened after that?
So at the end of the year, did like $130,000, negative $15,000 because it's all traveling and it's all trade shows, and I have to ship my product all the way out there. And again, I'm selling the product for $8 to $12, and not full retail. So I had to figure out, this was a lot of work, and I made no money. And I always have to reinvest to buy tools, pay for the patent, pay for new molding, and just always reinvest in the company. So I decided, well, look, I'm going to learn Facebook advertising.
Okay. Well, let's talk about before that. Why did you realize you need to do Facebook advertising? From that situation, or did you see someone talk?
Oh, yeah. So shout out to Gary Vee.
Okay.
I listened to him as a podcast, and I was just driving, and he literally said his greatest mistake in life is that people look at me and say that, oh, I turned my parents' $3 million wine company to $60 million, but I look at it because I could have paid way more money in Google ads than I should have. And if you are an entrepreneur and you're listening to me right now and you're not running Facebook ads, you're creating career suicide.
Okay.
You need to do it.
Okay.
And that statement made me to venture and seek that education. And again, Google and YouTube. Don't underestimate Google. There's a lot of free good content out there that's out there that you can learn. And if you are a quick study, it was insane.
Okay, so when you say Facebook, you're also referring to Instagram or just
Correct.
Facebook? Okay.
Because Facebook owns Instagram.
Right, that's what I'm asking. Okay,
Yeah.
so
when you take the classes on how to learn Facebook advertising, they talk about how you can just advertise. You can log into the Facebook portal, but you can only advertise on Instagram.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you do? What kind of ads were you doing, or who were you marketing to? Talk us through that process.
Again, it's a conversation. It's like a message, right? So I don't know how to really politically correctly say this, but
As long as you don't swear, we're good.
cool. So my dad tells me life is not complicated, right? Keep it simple. People make it complicated. So in my head, I have to look back in my life. When do I have to sell and succeed? Or when was I very scared, but I still did it anyways? And for me, it's like the first 10, 12 girls I've ever talked to told me no, right? And why was it, right? Was it because I wasn't their type, or was it my message? And then I look at that and I go, okay, I have to learn how to speak, or I have to learn how to effectively communicate my message to my target audience.
Okay.
So when you go on Facebook and you learn this, you may have a phenomenal product, but no one's buying because your message is messed up. So once you keep on tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, and we did 12 sales today. Let's try to duplicate this ad. Oh, now we did 24. Let's try to duplicate this ad and throw more money over here versus trying to throw more money at this message, even though it's a very well done ad. And the funny thing is, the video content that cost me $2,500 to make performed the worst versus the free videos that I did.
Okay.
With just me just doing my hair and just saying, hey, look at this work. This got me way more sales.
So when did you, and again, this is before your Shark Tank.
Yeah.
What sales or what traction were you at when you're like, okay, now it's kind of working?
So January, I taught myself. February, I was tweaking. March, I went full throttle. And April, I went full throttle. March and April, we did about $270,000 in sales. Sold out. Had nothing to do between May and August because at the time, China shut down. I was getting my message from China. They shut down because of a pollution problem, and I had no sales for 5 months. And then that's when I said, I taught myself how to advertise. This is a legit business. I need more money. I need someone to figure out how to solve this manufacturing problem. Hey, let's try Shark Tank.
Okay. And we're going to talk about that after this break, but you're tuned in to Entrepreneur Nation on KUCA.